Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
You're watching Now Let's Review, and next we're going to be reviewing the ShockFlo G1 Portable EV Charger.
Next on Now Let's Review.
Okay, so this portable charger can do two things.
It can charge your car, and it can charge your car somewhere else that isn't your house.
There you go, perfect, exactly.
And I like this style of charger. I think that it's really good. You can have some chargers that are mounted to your wall. I know they're not called chargers, they're high-powered wall connectors, but I call them chargers. And I know that you can have some that are just mounted to your wall. There are a couple of disadvantages with that. One is that if you're going on a trip and you need a charger, you can't take that, you can't unwire it from your wall, at least not easily. And then also if you ever move, you're either gonna have to sell the house with the charger, which means you need to go buy a new charger, or you have to unwire it, or you have to explain to the new homeowner, like, it's an EV charger, do you want it? And maybe they want it, maybe they don't. With this, all you have to do is unplug it from the wall, take it up off the wall, you could unscrew this and move. Or if you're just going on a trip, you leave this on the wall. And that is the beauty of a portable charger.
Yeah, it's a really good size. It fits right in this case. You're seeing some footage here of us going on a trip with it. So you can easily put it in your front. And so I want to talk about this right here. This is kind of like the boring part, I know. But this 16 inches is kind of the thing I first look at with a charger, because you're going to be plugging into the wall, and this is how much space you'll have to play with. So a lot of times your outlet is installed upside down. I'm not going to get into which is the right or wrong way. What's great about this is no matter how it's wired, you can either plug it in this way or this way, and you have enough cable to do so.
And it's nice and flexible cable. Sometimes they go crazy either with the gauge or with the kind of wire. We're not going to get into the boring stuff here, but yeah, it's relatively flexible, and that gives you more options in terms of mounting this on your wall or just plugging it in.
Next is the long part of the cable, which you could argue is the more important part. This comes with a 20-foot cable, which I think is kind of the perfect length. I'm always kind of underwhelmed if it's less than that, because when you pull in your roughly 18-foot long car, if you don't have enough cable, you'll have to get back in and move it. If it's too long, then you've got like way too much cable and you're tripping over it. So 20 feet to me is kind of perfect. And then this is what I like a lot. This is a nice thin cable. It's not too overpowering, but it's well made. It's a nice sheath on it. It feels really good in quality, and it has a nice tight turn radius.
Yeah, so that flexibility is going to be helpful when you're plugging in your car. Let's move on to the business end of it. So you've got this little rubber cover here. Not the most well-built rubber thing. This could obviously pop off if you pull on it too hard. Treat it with respect. Then we have...
EV owners generally do.
They generally do, so I think you'll be fine. Then you have the business end of it. Well-constructed plastic, plastic release trigger mechanism. These can break, again, if you throw them across the room. Treat it with respect and it should be fine.
Don't let your brother-in-law borrow it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's pretty bog standard, nothing amazing. No laser guidance unit to it or anything like that.
Yeah. So let's go to the laser guided part, right? Let's go to the screen. So what does this tell you?
So this tells you a number of different things. It tells you the amperage that you've set it to. So we'll get into that in a minute. It also tells you the amperage that it's actually drawing. It also tells you the kilowatts that it's drawing. It tells you the duration of the charge session. So lots of different mundane but fairly useful information that you can discern straight from the screen. The screen is by no means beautiful. This is not a retina display or anything like that. The colors aren't vibrant, but it tells you all the information you need to see. It's kind of like a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet isn't a video game, but it can be a very powerful tool, especially when you're dealing with information.
What I also like is that there's these 3 LEDs. You're seeing us showing that now. And that means that even from across the garage, you can tell if it's charging or not. So you don't have to go up to it if you don't want to.
Exactly.
If there is a problem, you'll see these flashing in red, and whatever they're flashing, 4 times, 6 times, that will tell you, if you look at the manual, what the problem is. And the problem could be with the car or the circuit or whatever.
Moving on to some little things, they do provide you with a hanging mechanism for your car. So you get this little plastic piece. It's not the most well-built thing, but again, you're just holding something on the wall. It doesn't have to be made out of stainless steel. And then they also gave you the mounting screws for it.
I know what you're asking. You're wondering, can this be outside in the rain? So this is IP67 waterproof. So technically, yes, I would say if it's going to be out there occasionally, fine. but this really is not meant to be mounted on the side of your house. It's meant to be mounted inside your house. But if you are going to grandma's house and you have to park in the driveway one night, I think this is fine being out in the rain.
Yeah, don't leave it in any puddles or anything, but I think it should be fine, you know, a couple nights on the side of the house.
And it's rated at -22 degrees Fahrenheit up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of heat. You might also be wondering, how fast can I charge my vehicle?
And this will pull 32 amps. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's because electricity is a little confusing. This is 32 amps at 220 volts. So that's gonna get you up into the 7.6 kilowatt range, which again is another unit, super fun. All these different units, but basically, remember, volts times amps equals watts, and kilowatts just means 1,000 watts.
But if you want the cheat sheet here, basically 30 miles of range in 1 hour is the max it can put out. So, and that depends on your car. So that's what you're looking at. If you're like, can I get to grandma's house in 3 hours? Do the math.
Right.
30 miles in an hour? If 3 hours later, you'll get 90 miles.
Now, you can reduce the amperage on this, and that will make the car charge slower. And
why would you do that?
Exactly. Well, if you're putting this on a circuit that either can't handle 32 amps, or you have it on a circuit with something else that might be drawing power, you could actually reduce the charge rate. So if you needed to do like a whole bunch of loads of laundry and you didn't want to like unplug your dryer that's on the same circuit, you could lower this down to 10 amps.
That's right.
Charge slower, but at least you're getting something while the dryer is running.
And how do you do that again? Is that button there, the current button?
Yeah, so you're gonna be basically using the buttons on here along with the screen to help you adjust the current. Now, while we're talking about circuits and stuff like that, let's talk about the plug. This is a NEMA 1450 plug.
So, National Electric Manufacturers Association. And so what I want you to do now is stop the video, go out to your garage or wherever you're gonna plug it in, take a really good look at the plug there, and don't just count like, okay, I've got 4 things. Take a picture of it. If it doesn't match exactly, this will not plug into it and you'll be mad. So make sure it's a 1450.
Not a 1430.
Nope.
Not a 1435. Yeah, there's lots of different ones that look very similar. Sometimes they'll even print the name of it on the plug. So do your due diligence, double check that before you get this, because it is important. You don't want to be plugging the wrong thing in, even if it does fit. They don't fit, by the way.
But here's the thing, because it's portable, you might bring it to someone else's house. And at grandma's house, if she doesn't have a 1450, you can't plug it in unless
you bring along a dog bone. And that's the search term that you're going to use to find what is essentially a power adapter.
What if grandma just has a cat? What are you talking about?
A dog bone basically goes from one plug to another. It's usually like a plug and then a receptacle, and they're connected by a wire.
Here's the thing, if you're not kind of an expert at this, I wouldn't recommend doing that because, you know, electricity.
Amperages and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to overamp.
The short of it is just make sure that you've got the right plug and then you'll be happy.
Yeah, but this one is relatively common. This is kind of the most modern version of a 50 amp circuit, but of course there's still the 1430 and all these other things. So yeah, make sure that you're getting the right one and make sure that it's going to work electrically before you buy it.
So if you head on over to shockflo.com, we'll put the link down below. You can find this right now. I think it's $349.99. I think this is a good value for the fact that you're getting not only a stationary charger, but also a mobile charger all in one. And I'm really pleased with the build of it. It's well made. It's got the right cabling for me. And I think this is pretty much everything you need in a mobile charger.
And it even comes with a bag. And you know, the bag is a little bit bigger than some bags that you might see for other chargers. And that just makes it easier to get all the cords and stuff into it.
I hate it when they give you a tiny bag because you're all excited. You're like, oh, this is so tiny, but then you never get it back in there.
You'll never get it in, and you'll just have a big coil of wires sitting in the trunk of your car. I speak from experience with that. So having a moderately sized, fairly cheap bag is pretty useful because you'll get some squish on it if you need to pack up and move.
Now, if you've watched till the end of the video, I have a little surprise for you, a little treat. We are giving this away. And the way to do that is to head over to our Patreon. That's how we help support our channel and do the work we do. So if you go to the Now You Know Patreon, which is the link is down below, we'll put a post there so that you can enter to win this. And we do that with almost all the EV chargers we have because we don't need this one. So you can win it, and you can do that on future videos too. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you be clued into any time we have an EV charger, because that's another one of your chances to win one.
Thank you so much for watching Now Let's Review. We hope you enjoyed it. I know that this isn't the most exciting review that we've done. You can't really do a wheelie with an EV charger, but there are plenty of other reviews in the pipeline, lots of products that we're happy to talk about. And if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below, and hit the like button on your way out. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's review.